You got to find something to fight for, guys. Do not turn to drugs. Do not turn to anger, negativity. Don't hold on to don't hold on to grudges, and just don't hold on to anything negative. You're only damaging yourself. You're just damaging your mind. You're creating bad thought patterns if you start obsessing over the past. That's what it is. Like they say people that are depressed are stuck in the past, and people that have anxiety are stuck in the future. So you guys, you got to just go with the flow. You can't worry about the past, the mistakes you made. I made so many mistakes in my life. I created so much guilt, like feelings towards my mom a lot, like because I put her through a lot of anxiety and worry. Um, so I held on to a lot of guilt and anger with my father, and I let that stuff fester in my mind. Don't do that. For me, I didn't face it head on. I didn't grow. I didn't take the pain head on and take that growth. You know. Nowadays, I welcome it because too much stuff's happened to me, and I've made it too far to. I just I've recognized my negative patterns, and I know how to stop them in their tracks now. You guys have to do the same. It's gonna be very hard. You're gonna have to really train your brain that every thought when you start going negative, nope, I love myself. This is you just start telling. Even when you're in a bad situation like work and this stinks, like don't tell yourself that. It's all in mentality. You gotta tell yourself, now this is great, I love it. And just start telling yourself you love stuff that maybe you really don't. And you'll notice your mentality will change over time. It doesn't happen overnight. It's like when you're like lifting weights. Like you don't just, whoa, I look different. Hit the gym one time, right? Your brain's the same thing. You got to work it like a muscle. You gotta train it just like you would think of as training your muscles. Train your brain the right way. Um, don't turn to drugs. I had I wasted so many years of my life doing hardcore drugs, like straight up, and it created a lot of regret, and it just made it harder and harder for me to shake this negativity. And then I got this drug problem on top of the negativity that's underlying is like this negative thing. Drug problems I'm trying to mask it. It seemed to work at first because I was like, oh, I feel great. That does not last long. You're just gonna create a big problem for yourself because now I just feel terrible. I the drugs are just ruining me. And everyone around and me, when I'm on drugs, you can see it physically. Like I get real skinny. Like I weighed like 120 pounds. I face sunken in. Like I did not wear it well. So everyone around me knows. And I'm saying, oh, I'm good. No, you're not. People around you are thinking the same thing if you're in that situation. Don't, you're not fooling anybody. So, and me, I got out at the right time with like the heroin because around that, this is like early 2000s, like, I graduated in 2005 to give you like a time frame. So then it went on a little past there, and and I did all kinds of other drugs too. Don't get it twisted, but um, so but I got out at the right time. My daughter saved my life. Throughout this, I ended up. I don't know how I maintained myself. I always had a job. I'm 35. Excuse me. Excuse me. My phone's ringing. Hold on one second. I apologize for that. But yeah, my mom like really instilled um, responsibility in me. It made me have a job always since I was like 15. I had a job, and so I apologize. I had to take that phone call. So yeah, my daughter basically saved my life. You know what I mean? Meeting my wife saved my life, and then having our daughter, like really, I say saved my life because it gave me something to fight for, something to live for. Before that, everything was pure negativity, and it was just a giant light in my life, greatest thing that ever happened to me. And I quit all the stuff, and I became clean, and I stayed clean. But I noticed even after the drugs that it was almost like a hard problem for me. It was just like my depression and negativity. It was a hard battle. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Um, but I made it so much harder on myself, getting myself so deep. Um, so yeah, like for years, I think I was like I liked the person that I was. I was constantly playing with my daughter in a good mood. It was just a very nostalgic point in my life. I worked in this warehouse for like 8 or 9 years. It was my last job before I got hurt. But yeah, I worked there and it was just like really negative environment. I kind of like the work, but just the atmosphere, just the work. I like doing the work that I did. I like fixing machines and stuff, but just so much negativity there, and I was already negative, so it just was really, I don't know. I think I became really bitter and negative working there over the years, and I really didn't like who I became. It was bad. So like now I'm not even on drugs or anything, but I'm just battling wicked depression for like years because I didn't train my brain the right way to think right. I was still just like battering myself and being negative constantly in my head, and I could know everything to do, and everyone's, you know what I mean? Like it would seem so easy to just change that, but for some reason I just could not let the guilt go. I couldn't forgive myself for so many years, decades. I just I hated myself for like for being on drugs and just disrespecting myself, my family, and just um I don't know, just I just I hold guilt very easily. It's hard for me to let go. So yeah, I just I it, for years, and all of a sudden, like probably about 5 years ago, like I started switching to like being negative and just getting real depressed, and then things were just going downhill again. Like I'm clean, but like I'm just depressed, and just I just didn't like it was just so hard to get out of bed, to swing my legs out of bed. Everything felt like a million, like I had this weight over me all the time, and just times in slow motion. It was hard. So like I just wanted to give up so bad, but I couldn't because I got a little girl, you know. I especially couldn't give up now. So um, yeah, think, I'll tell you some crazy stories here in the next videos. I don't want to mess up the order here, but to skip forward a little bit, let's just say that I had a rude awakening whenever I died, and basically I died sitting right here, right here. I had severe sepsis. I'll tell this story later, but like briefly, just to touch on what really woke me up is um, I had 5 spine surgeries, all bad. So they didn't give me medicine, and they were like denying my infection for some reason. They dropped the ball bad. So it spiraled, blood infection, severe sepsis. I'm telling them something's really wrong. They're just like, what do you expect? You had multiple surgeries. You're fine. I almost died. Like I'll tell that story later. But when I did, basically I had near death experience where my wife claims I did die. She's in medical. She says I didn't have a pulse. Her and my daughter were here crying at my feet, begging for me to come back to life. I'll tell this story later. It's dramatic. I'm saving this one. But I had a very deep spiritual experience when them lights were coming in on me, and something just was. It was just all in a feeling that I just everything made sense, and I begged for another chance, and I got it, and something inside me feels like, and that's why I'm making these videos too, is because I'm just like I just have a burning desire to help people now. I felt when I had that passing, that moment, I felt this energy everywhere. It was the most amazing thing I've ever felt. I don't even want to disrespect it and compare it because it's nothing like. But it's all when I was doing all them drugs, it's almost like the feeling that I've always searched for was. It was just when I was like passing. It was the greatest feeling ever. Um, and I just knew that there's a deeper meaning here. I knew God's real. I felt Him. I felt God through my heart. Him, God, whatever. Just call it God. I felt God through my heart. I felt that we're part of something much bigger, and that's when I knew that I had to change my mentality, and it was hard after that, but I got to force myself. And then in my hard moments, I would always feel God again. I feel God now. It's like God does not speak word. Everyone wants to hear words, and he's going to just tell you something. Like, God speaks through your heart. You got to know the language. You got to have a clean heart, a good heart, a pure heart, a positive heart, and I really want the right things in God, and you'll feel God through your heart. Don't get it twisted. It's God is real, and whatever you want to call it, there's something deeper here. There's something deeper, and just you guys got to really change your mentality. When things are going bad, you guys keep telling yourself, "Nah, things are going good. Not bad. Things are good." Create your positive outcome out of no matter what situation it is. You can have a positive outcome. You either win or you learn. You can't just win in life and everything goes great all the time. When you lose in a situation, things go bad. Don't just that's bad and complain about it. Learn from it. Figure out what can I take from this. There's a lesson to be learned here. Maybe everything happens for a reason. Maybe in the times that you think God abandoned you, he didn't abandon you at all. Maybe you needed that moment. Everything always makes sense in hindsight. When you're in the moment going forward, the order of events and why things are happening do not make sense to you. It's always later in life. It might be 10 years down the road that something random that made no sense, that you didn't like that moment. All of a sudden, that loss you had in a short-term loss can become some of your greatest long-term gains if you learn from it. And next time you're in that situation, that loss that you took might create a way bigger win, because you learned from it and you made the adjustment in life and adjusted your mentality and adjusted yourself. Change your life. You can create your positive outcome at anything. Believe that. If I can, anyone can.